Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we're seeing the euro dollar just a little bit stronger here. We'll pop into that quickly. Right here, we've got the euro on the 2-hour chart, and it looks like we have come into a little bit of support here around this 1765-ish area. And also cable a little bit better. We'll go and take a look at the cash dollar index. We've actually dropped down here to 93.06 here. So new lows here on the cash dollar index as the indexes continue to go and push higher. We've actually seen the NASDAQ going to come into the 161% extension, which is off of those March lows. So quite a bit of a quick jump in here. Go and take a look there. Right here, you can see we've seen just a quick jump here on the NASDAQ. And if you take a look at here, we just posted this chart. This is from the March lows, from the highs in February to these March lows. And we've actually come up to the 161% extension. They're still pushing above it. We got a quick little pop in here, but you can see a quick jump in here right there. Whether or not we're going to go on and maybe tire ourselves out here, we shall see, but we've already seen a pretty good little jump. Already is obviously new highs for the morning. And let's take a look here on the gold market. A little bit better here in the gold market here at 1954 on the Dees gold. And let's take a look here with crude oil. And a little bit firmer here in crude oil. Probably a little bit, certainly being helped some by the move that we're seeing here in equity indexes. And let's say look at the S&Ps. So we're still continuing to move here. You can see here in this trend line, maybe we can move just a little bit higher, maybe get up here towards this, looks like probably about 34. Let's take a look here. About 34.17, 34.20, almost 34.20. If we can go and extend that move up there. In the euro, we're relatively quiet up here at these levels. Well, that's at the euro, but I meant the S&Ps, but I meant the euro here. Look here, quiet. And also here in the cable. Very, very quiet trading. Summertime trading here. So let's go in, we'll go in and take a look at the news, and let's take a little bit closer look here with gold. Decent little move here in gold. Look at this. Only appeared 1955. So not bad here. Let's go on and before we do that, let's go and take a look at what we have for the data for today. Well, really nothing at this point until we get into Mexican core inflation, which isn't going to be until 7 a.m. Eastern. And then we are going to have National Activity Index at 8:30 Eastern. So really just no data whatsoever today, essentially. And we'll go and move into the news. So the dollar holds gains and looks to Powell's speech for direction. The dollar steadied against major currencies on Monday as traders look to more data for a gauge on the health of the global economy and the Federal Reserve's annual Jackson Hole retreat for guidance on the outlook for U.S. monetary policy. Well, it hasn't steadied because right now we're at 93.06. And let me take a look at. We're doing better. We're still holding up a little bit better than our lows, which were closer to almost 92.06, but still, nonetheless, it's not like as if we're doing any, we're just kind of holding steady. That's about it. Uh, Sentiment for the greenback has improved somewhat due to the supportive data on business activity and home sales, but there's still concerns. The additional monetary easing may be necessary to keep the economy growth on track. Currency showed little reaction to the U.S. authorization of coronavirus treatment that shows blood plasma from recovered patients, as many investors are waiting for definitive news of a credible vaccine. Traders in the yuan, also across broader financial markets, are also nervously watching Sino-U.S. ties as President Trump's wide-ranging diplomatic dispute with China shows no signs of abating. There could be a short-term bounce in the dollar, especially against the euro, said Junichi Ishikawa. Um, in the long term, the dollar will resume its decline because the Fed has to commit to aggressive easing for the very long time. Against the euro, the dollar held steady at 17.95, British pound 30.92. The greenback fetched 91.26 Swissy francs. The yen held steady, and the dollar changing hands at 105.87 yen showed little reaction after Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe entered hospital on Monday, and there's been speculation about his health. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell will discuss monetary policy on Thursday at the opening day of the Kansas City's Fed's annual symposium. This year, the meeting will be online and not at the hunting and fishing resort of Jackson Hole, Wyoming, because of its coronavirus pandemic. The quantitative easing that the Fed has flooded the financial markets with excess liquidity and weighed on the dollar. Last week, the dollar index against a basket of six major currencies fell to its lowest in more than 2 years. It was traded at 93.21 with little change from Friday. The world's policymakers have unleashed an unprecedented wave of easing and fiscal support to offset the economic drag against the pandemic. However, many countries are now battling a second wave of infections, which could further delay a full-fledged economic recovery. The euro was on the defensive following disappointing manufacturing services sector data for Europe released on Friday. The common currency's next major hurdle is the release of the closely watched IFO sentiment survey on Tuesday. The euro is pulled back slightly from the two-year highs versus the dollar, which reached last week, but it makes us vulnerable to short-term profit taking, said analysts. Net short positions in the dollar declined from a near 9-year high a week earlier, according to the calculations by Reuters Commodity Trading Commission, which suggests that the greenback's declines could start to slow. The Aussie dollar has steadied at 71.65 after the state of Victoria reported its lowest daily rising coronavirus infections in the 7 weeks on Monday. And on to gold. Gold dips as coronavirus treatments boost risk appetite. Gold prices fell on Monday as the risk appetite improved as the U.S. regular authorized the use of blood plasma, weighing a little bit on the immediate sentiment. Virus positive news that has helped stocks and other assets go higher, said Stephen Innes. Investors are now waiting for the U.S. Federal Reserve Chairman Powell's at the Jackson Hole. The central bank may be expected to signal greater tolerance or above target inflation, keeping the real interest rates low. The lower U.S. rates put pressure on the dollar and bond yields. With that, we're going to move into the analysis. be just a moment while I pull up the bias chart. Okay, the euro rallied back on Thursday after defending 1800 support on Friday. I don't know why this comes up like that. It's frustrating. Let me pull up the analysis I have off of ForexAnalytix for a moment. Okay, there we go. Euro finished the prior week sub 118 after dipping to 1750. The pair is likely to see the bulls push to test the bias chart resistance at 1870. A break lower should find solid support at 1714. So we're kind of pushing up here, and it says looking for the bulls to test the bias chart resistance at 1870. Still a little ways. You can see the 1870 with support. If we do go and break these lows, which would come all the way down here to 1714. You can see the support just below is the 1739. They're pushing a little bit positive here. So we'll go with the 1739 as well as the 1870. So bear with me. And let's go move into the cable. Cable for the past week has been an up and down affair. Closing at the week's lows, bears will seek a dip to bias chart support 2983. Bias chart resistance will be 3171. So a little bit of wide range, but it's been a wide range with cable nonetheless. So let's move this here. 2983. And 3171. Moving on to the Aussie dollar. So the Aussie closed lower 2 of the last 3 trading days last week. The pair is likely to push a test to 70.95 with additional support at 70.63 with resistance at 72.11. And we are definitely into the dog days of summer, but we do have Jackson Hole coming up, so we will get some pretty big movement there, but still relatively quiet session. And on to the Kiwi. The Kiwi closed the week in a quiet session on Friday. A break to new lows will find support in a zone of 64. You can see right here. It wasn't clear, but this zone here between 64.71 and 63, and it shouldn't be 63. It should be 64.55.71. So 64.55.71. The resistance will be 66.13, but you can see here just below 71 we have this 55 coming in here. So it's a quiet session, so we'll just go with the 64.71. And on the upside, 66.13. That's a little bit of a jump, but everything's so quiet right now. So we'll probably, let's see, 64.71. Right there. We'll go 65.81 on the upside. And with that, we'll move on to the CAD. So the dollar CAD continues to languish lower in 4 of the last 5 trading days. A break lower will find support at 31.12 with resistance at 32.34. A daily close above 32.30, 32.38 will signify a short-term bottom if we can get, above that. But we got to go and do that, and that should be actually 32.68 if a daily close above that. So the support is actually going to be at 31.12 with resistance at 32.34. And on to the peso. The dollar peso posted a gravestone style doji, you can see here on Thursday. Bears will attempt to break lows to bias chart support 21.72. You can see that right here. Resistance will be 21.14 with a daily close of 22.20, marking a short-term bottom. So if we can get a daily close of 22.20, we have a short-term bottom, but we are potentially looking for this to come down to 21.72. We're trading on a relatively quiet day. We're kind of holding on here, but I don't know if we're going to make it all the way down 2072 in one fell swoop. So we'll go with which was the support once before, which was 21.85. Since today's so quiet. And let's go and go into the dollar peso. I mean the dollar yen. The dollar yen finished Friday's session in the middle of the day's range. You can see that here on Friday. Support to start the week will be 548 with resistance at 614. And on to the cash dollar index. So the dollar index saw a solid close on Friday. Resistance will be 93.50 with a daily close above 93.72, marking a short-term bottom. Support will be 92.77 with additional support at 92.50. And on to the cross rates. So the Kiwi yen remains in a recent bearish state. Support to start the week will be 68.59 with resistance at 69.54. A daily close below 68.23 would extend a new leg lower. So as I said, for right now, support to start the week is going to be 68.50, 68.59. And 69.54. So not much of a difference between what was already set up as support and resistance. And on to the euro yen. The euro yen culminated a 6-day sell-off challenging 24.33, although holding just above. The pair will remain under stress to begin the week, where bias chart support will be 24.01 and resistance will be 25.52. Well, we've started, starting out a little bit from firm footing. So the 25.52 will hold. The only difference is we'll keep the support. Now keep the support. We'll have it here at 24.33 because we're starting a little bit firmer this week. And on to the euro odd. So the euro odd is stagnant. Resistance will be 65.26 with a daily close above 65.81 to generate a new up move. Support will be 63.40 with a daily close below 63.40, sending the pair to 62 even. But you can see we're just not moving anywhere here. So once again, resistance will be 65.26. And support at 63.40. on to the Euro Kiwi. So the Euro Kiwi posted a bearish engulfing bar on Friday. You can see that right here. Initial support will be 79.62 with solid support of 78.80. Resistance will be 81.44. With a daily close of 82.24, need to generate on a new up leg. And 81.44. Now we'll move on to the Aussie yen. So the Aussie yen is rotating lower with an anticipated move to 75.23, followed by additional support at 74.84. Resistance will be 76.47. And support 75.23. And on to the guppy. So the guppy closed the prior week at the lows. Immediate support comes in at 38.09, followed by 37.74. You see the 38.09 right here. Resistance will be 39.72. And let's go back to the Aussie yen. Resistance will be 76.47. And lastly, let's wrap it up with the sterling odd. So the sterling odd challenge weekly level of 84.03 before pairing back to before pairing back 125 pips from that high. You can see we got up to that key weekly level of 84.03. Then we turn around and rotated lower, and we're pushing lower here. Bias chart support will be 82.20. We're actually just a little bit lower at 82.14 with resistance at 83.14. We'll stick around with that 82.20, although we're a tad bit below it right now. And resistance is going to be 83.14. And take a look at the euro, still pushing up a little bit higher here, right there. So with that, that'll do it. And like I said, we relatively quiet start to the week, but we have Jackson Hole, so that's certainly going to see some big moves in the dollar. And thanks for joining us here on the European crossover webinar, and we'll see you in the chat room. Let me see. Mark says, can you please check the Aussie yen on the bias chart? There's a digit missing. We just got that. It looks like it's fixed now. That's what he says. Okay, great. Thanks, Mark, and thanks all. We'll see you in the chat room, and I'll get the bias chart posted.